Hey everybody, good evening. I meant to get this video up earlier today, but I didn't get a chance to record it until now, so I'm recording the 90 game check-in as the 91st game is actually being played over to my right here. I'm watching it. We're in the top of the third, so a little bit late here, but not like we've really learned anything from this game yet that would really affect how I feel about this team. So we're 90 games in, are the Mariners. We're past the All-Star break. And we are where we started. We are 45 and 45. We are exactly 500. The Angels have kind of fallen apart to the point where we're now third in the West. We got some work to do if we want to catch the guys ahead of us, but the team continues to play passably good baseball while not really getting to the point where you can call what they're doing great. So we're just kind of stuck there. The last 10 games were good. The last 10 games were actually really good, but we had the opportunity to make it great, and we didn't. We had three really strong opportunities to steal games we probably shouldn't win. You had the game against the Giants where we were starting Tommy Milone. That was a game that I kind of assumed we were going to lose before it even started. Tommy Milone actually pitches great. We give up 2 runs, one on a fluke play where the ball bounces off the bag, and another on a play where Julio drops a can of corn. So that's a game you should find a way to win. That's a game you need to steal. But the offense does nothing. We lose 2-0 in a game where we're starting Tommy Milone, who, again, was basically sent out there as like a sacrificial lamb. We're hoping that he can get through like 4 innings and only give up like 2 runs. And he actually does that. He does better than that. And both the runs he gave up were kind of not his fault. So that's one. You have the Astros game where it's 2-2. We've got Wu starting that game, so it's another game where I'm like, okay, we're going to lose this one. This is not the game to win. Hopefully we can win the other 3, which we do. But Wu actually puts together a great start. It's 2-2, bases loaded, no outs in the 8th inning. And can't get anybody home, can't get the win, and there you go. So you got that game. And then, of course, last night, which was, look, I'm not going to completely kill the team for it because that was the unluckiest game I've ever seen. We fly out to the warning track like 8 times. Meanwhile, the Tigers hit 3 home runs. So don't give me nothing about the Marine Layer. You got the crap strike 3 on Ty France. You've got so much garbage in that game. But should have won. So it was a good stretch of baseball, but there was an opportunity to make it a special stretch where you really just get back into the season, where you really just right the ship and put yourself in a great position to go on a hot streak for the rest of the season. And instead, it's just kind of a good one because you let a couple of opportunities to steal games get away from you. I mean, not really last night. Again, last night, I want to stress that game was just a lot of bad luck. That game was a lot of very fluky things coming together at once. I'm not going to kill the team for anything that happened last night, but there was an opportunity to win every game we played in the last 10 easily. Like, it was right there for us. We had opportunities that I didn't even think we were going to have, and we played well, but we didn't play well enough to fully capitalize on it all, and now here we are, still kind of in a spot where I think most Mariners fans aren't really thinking about the playoffs that much. So unfortunate, tragic, but the team is not playing badly at the moment. The team is doing some things well, mostly in terms of their pitching and, I guess, defense. And it's not over. It's not over. Even Baseball Reference, which is pretty harsh with this stuff, gives us a better than 10% chance of getting in. And before yesterday's game, it was like 15, so you can see how quickly that number fluctuates. But I it's like this offense. I talk all the time about trying to get a full lineup of decent hitters, and they've done that at the expense of having anybody on the team that is better than above average. And that's kind of, I think, where the hangup is right now. It's kind of the opposite problem that I usually have. You look at this lineup that we're able to field right now, the best hitter on this team by far right now is Mike Ford. Mike Ford, a guy who is a pure home run hitter. And you know, this is not me knocking Mike Ford because he's been awesome. He's been great. And in many ways, he's kind of been a savior of the season. But Mike Ford, who bounced around and played on like 800 different teams last year, your best hitter after a 90 games, and I know Ford hasn't played in all 90 games, not even close, but how did that happen? How does that happen? And then second place actually is probably Tom Murphy. So your two hitters that are going above and beyond and playing good to even great baseball at home plate, Ford and Murphy, are guys who have played in a third of the games approximately, who have a combined 200 plate appearances, and are also guys who could have not made the team this year at all, and I don't think anybody would have given it much of a second thought. And then after that, all the guys who are getting a lot of at bats, all the guys who are getting a lot of plate appearances, it's just a bunch of guys, other than Wong, who's obviously been beyond pathetic at the plate. It's just a bunch of guys who are okay. Like, other than those two guys I just mentioned, our two best hitters have been Crawford and Kelnick, who have an ops plus of 114. So there's nobody on this team that strikes the fear of God into opposing pitchers, except for, I guess, Mike Ford, and apparently you don't even really want to use him full time, it seems like. Why was he not in the lineup until the ninth inning last night? What was going on there? Why is he not in the lineup every single game at this point? Why is he not getting bumped up the lineup a little bit? So you've got Ty France, who is having, a completely average season. You've got Julio Rodriguez, who is having a completely average season. Teoscar is having a completely average season. Cal is having an average season. So it's like everybody's just kind of like average. Everyone's just kind of mid, right? Like we've got a full lineup of guys who are hitting at least a 97 ops plus at this point, pretty much, because of Caballero as well. But it, it's just the opposite of the problem we used to have when you would have A plus hitters like Cano, the really good years that Cano had at the plate, or Nelson Cruz when he had really good years at the plate. But then you would also have guys that were just complete black holes. We're not really having that problem so much right now, at least unless we bring it on ourselves by putting Wong or Pollock or Dylan Moore in the lineup, of course. But now we're just looking for that star power, and I never thought that would be a problem. Like, look, I'm not worried about Julio in the big picture. Sophomore slump. He's too talented to not get past this. I think he's trying just a little too hard at times. He's got some stuff to get better at for sure. But I think Julio will be fine. I'm not worried about him long term, but this has not been the banner season some people were hoping for. But like Ty France, he just doesn't have enough power, and his complete lack of speed is just killing. So I don't know where we are with Ty France right now, but at this point, it's kind of hard for me to look at Ty France and go, that needs to be a long-term part of our team. We've got enough guys in this lineup right now for the long-term guys like Cal, who go through these extended dry periods where they just can't hit, and they just can't get on base. So I need my first baseman to either hit, 280, 290, or be hitting 35 plus home runs. And Ty France doesn't do either. So while he's not having a terrible season, he's just not looking like the kind of guy I'm trying to hitch my wagon to. And Teoscar, even though he's been overall above average, decent at the plate this year, I'll say, somewhere between above average and decent, somewhere between those two describers. I don't know how we can hitch our wagon to him long term when we already have so many other guys in this team striking out so much. Hopefully we can upgrade from Suarez in the upcoming offseason, because he's the guy who is, I think, pretty clearly starting to get old to the point where his game is going to really diminish by next season. But we've already got so many strikeout kings in this lineup. It's just hard for me to figure out how are we going to keep a guy like Teoscar around, who is the biggest strikeout king of them all, even though he's been one of our best hitters. So it's just kind of, it's the exact opposite of the problem I thought we were going to have. I thought we were going to get a really good numbers at the plate from Julio and France. I thought we were going to get above average from Suarez and Crawford and Cal. I thought we were going to get above average from Teoscar. I thought Kelnick was probably going to be average to a little below average. But we don't have that one guy in the lineup that is making other pitchers afraid. Like, oh, this guy's going to get on. This guy's going to get on base. This guy's going to hit a home run here. Like, it's all just a bunch of guys who are okay. Now, nevertheless, credit where credit is due, of course. As always, we're going to give a shout out to the pitching staff on this team. Castillo and Kirby, been awesome. I'm actually watching, well, last night we watched Castillo pitch kind of mediocre, and so far Kirby's been kind of mediocre, but hey, they're doing it. Gilbert's been really good lately. We've overcome some injuries. We lose Marco. We lose Miller now for a little bit here. Both got, I mean, Marco wasn't really pitching that well, but he was pitching serviceably, and Miller was pitching pretty well. And then Wu steps in. Wu's actually been pitching really well overall lately. We've gotten really good reps from pretty much everybody in the bullpen. Even Matt Brash has gotten it together. He's pitching much better lately. So, hey, I got nothing bad to say about this pitching staff and the bullpen. It's all great. And it's again, we're getting put in this situation where kind of for the opposite reason, but at the end of the day, the same result, we are wasting really good pitching outings because this lineup is just not cutting it. And in years before, it would be like, okay, Cano would have good at-bats. Seager would have good at-bats. Cruz would have good at-bats. But then you got past those guys, and you just quickly ran out of guys you could rely on. Now it's like we've got too many guys that we can rely on, but none of them are killers. Like, and, you know, Ford is the only thing we have that you could call a killer right now, and Ford is basically useless against half the pitchers in the MLB. So even that, you can't really call him a killer. But it's the exact same situation. All right, see you guys later. Go Mariners. I'm going to go live on Twitch soon. Death Stranding. But yeah, just kind of frustrating. Not a bad 10-game stretch. And I have admittedly calmed down a little bit about some of the Scott Service stuff. Obviously, a lot of Mariners fans are feeling themselves a little right now because Ohtani at least indicated he would be open to playing in Seattle, and that would be something that could really bail us out of a lot of trouble here if you could land Ohtani without even having to trade him. But for right now, it just feels like this team is leaving stuff on the table that they're going to need by the end of the season. We're going to get to the end of the season, and we're going to be there at like, if we have a good second half of the season, we could get to like 87 wins. And we're going to get to 87 wins, and we're going to sit there and we're going to be like, 92 would have gotten us into the playoffs. And if we had won some of these stupid games that we had no business losing, then, yeah, we're there. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it kind of feels like that's where this is going. The AL is starting to weaken a little bit, but I don't think you're going to get handed a playoff spot this year, by any means. Like, I know the Yankees and Angels are starting to fade pretty quickly here. Well, maybe the Yankees, I don't want to go too far with it, but they got work to do with no Aaron Judge. But just kind of seems like another one of those Mariners years where we have great pitching and can't quite take advantage of it fully. Again, there's a reason why a lot of Mariners fans on Facebook in the Mariners groups have already started talking about Ohtani more than the actual team we have. All right. See you guys later. Go Mariners. Again, I'll be live on Twitch tonight. But decent stretch of baseball, but a lot to be desired.